we are going to select the England men's test team for the 2027 Ashes. And I don't think we've got much better people here to help us do that. We've got Andy Zaltzman here, who'll be crunching the numbers. We've got Alistair Cook, who's playing county cricket at the moment in the First Division, so we'll have seen many good young players out there and played against them, I've no doubt. And me, who's obsessed with Surrey, so this side is going to contain most of Surrey's current First 11, and Stefan Schemmelt, who is our chief cricket writer on the BBC Sport website.
Can before we start?
Yes.
Should we get the team which played the last Ashes?
Yeah,
England?
in Hobart in 2021 too.
And then compare it to this team and see how many, because we need to know how many new players we need to pick on average. Because do you understand where I'm going from?
We've got some more oldies though, haven't we?
Well,
don't you think?
I just think we need to start that with the process of that.
If we're talking 2027.
Yeah.
There's a much bigger churn from the last test here in 2019 than there was from Hobart.
So we do 2019 then? Just so I need to get my brain in gear on this stuff.
Before we do all that, right, we're setting the parameters, but before we do all that, you at home can get involved.
Oh, yeah. I thought you'd.
And the way you do that, no, you're already involved. You're involved by being here. You're on the selection panel. You at home can get involved, and the way you do that is tms@bbc.co.uk. If you'd like to email us, that would be marvellous. You can give us one or two suggestions, or you can pick a squad. I'm going to pick a squad of 16, by the way, because I think the team is a fool's errand. We're going to pick a squad of 16 players.
We've made it harder for us.
No, we haven't. We've made it easier, actually, because it means we don't have to. We can add a few more batters in.
Okay.
And what have you. So you can either give us a whole 16 if you want, or you can just send us some suggestions as we go along, and we'll be reading those out as they come in. Or you can do this on social media, BBC TMS on Twitter, or BBC Cricket on Instagram. That's tms@bbc.co.uk, at BBC TMS on Twitter, or BBC Cricket on Instagram.
Right. Who's chairman of selectors here?
I'm chairman of selectors.
Because I've sat in selection meetings.
Yeah.
And the chairman kind of doesn't give his ideas.
That's
really.
right.
He just sits and writes down the notes and then announces the team at the end.
Well, I will help the conversation move in the right direction by making suggestions.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted you to throw all the suggestions and I could just cross or tick them. But no, you're chairman, you're older, it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Is this what these selection meetings are really like? I see. Is that what Alec Bedser had to put up with back in the 80s?
I wouldn't have done it.
Who's chairman of the selectors now? Is there such a thing?
Well, Rob Key, isn't it?
Well, Luke,
Rob Key.
I think Rob Key has the casting vote, and Luke Wright is more of a supportive. Right. Is a supporting scouty national selector role.
We're Dusty, didn't we? When I was captain, Dusty Miller and James Whittaker. I don't know quite when they swapped over.
Jeff Miller. Well, I mean, he was involved in so much of the selection. He was selecting England A tours as well, wasn't he? The England pathway.
I don't know how much he did do all that stuff.
He did about 70,000 miles every season, he told me.
Was that to speaking engagements also?
There'll be that as well. I'm sure he doubled up. So, well, let's kick off with your very healthy and splendid suggestion that we look at the England team that played the Oval Test match in 2019, 4 years ago, and compare it to this one. Andy Zaltzman.
So we had opening the batting Rory Burns and Joe Denley. Joe Root at 3, Ben Stokes 4, Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler, Sam Curran, Chris Wokes, Jofra Archer, Jack Leach and Stuart Broad played that match.
So that's 5 out of the 5.
6 not here.
6. Well, I was going 5 here.
5 here, 6 not here.
But Broad's gone.
Broad's gone.
Leach
would be here.
Leach would be here, yes.
Curran, you think, isn't
Curran's still in the mix. Got to be in the mix.
I think he has to. I mean, I haven't heard anything of him not wanting to play red ball cricket at all.
He's played a bit for Surrey, played a game for Surrey in the county championship. So right. So he can. He's available for selection.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the numbers. But it's fine.
Now, what I suggest we first do is just take a look at our huge names in England cricket and ask ourselves, will they be here in 4 years' time?
And I have a point for quickly.
Yes.
Where's your notes, Chairman? I need you to be writing this down.
Oh well, okay.
I need to see it written down.
I'll put them here.
I'll
put it here if you like. So, question mark over the captain. How old is Ben Stokes currently?
32.
So, with his knee and everything that's going to go on over the course of the next 4 years, is he still captain?
It's 2.5, isn't it, to the next Ashes?
I think we're picking the side for 2027, aren't we, boss? We are. So, because we've got a
Back
chairman of
here in
selectors,
England.
and then we've got the chair of the ECB, who's
Okay,
behind us in the form of Adam Mountford.
Do we have to submit our names to him for approval?
Fine.
Well, probably.
So Stokes will be 36.
Be 36.
With his
so
knee.
younger than Broad is now.
Yeah.
And talismanic character that's on a mission that could be his last series. Could that be his farewell?
The problem
Is that realistic?
the problem is, if we in this box now are going to say that Ben Stokes is not in that squad, I don't want that getting back to him. Let's speak to him at some
Let's put
point.
Ben Stokes
But then
in
he's
here
been
as
skipper
captain.
Skipper for 6
It would have
years.
been a long time as captain.
6 years skipper.
5 years. Only last year. Only started last June.
Okay.
How long were you skipper?
4.5.
And Rooty?
5.
5.
I suppose
And it's the end of a natural cycle.
the difference for Ben Stokes, I guess we can throw in there, and not for 1 second am I writing Ben Stokes off, but his options as a cricketer are going to be relatively large, knee or no knee, and let's be optimistic and hope that Ben Stokes can get his knee sorted over the next 6 months. Let's err on the side of optimism. He will have lots of options towards the end of his career, which may make Test cricket less attractive. I think we can throw that into the mix.
We
as
can
well.
do, but the chairman of selectors behind me, the chairman of the ECB, I'm the chairman of selectors, has given me an extraordinary pot of cash in order to keep Test cricket alive and running.
Well, he might
in this country.
He might
and
be one
contracts for Test cricketers
He
are going
might
to be
one-
seriously big.
Thanks to the unique way the BBC is funded.
Ben Stokes could be one of the first cricketers given a multi-year central contract by the ECB.
He would be the ideal candidate, if you ask me, for what he's done for the team in the last 15 months, 14 months.
Let's put him in. Let's put him in. We are his last final. He'd have played
His last hurrah.
170 Test matches by then.
But that would be his last hurrah. I mean, we're looking at Anderson and Broad. We talk about natural cycles the whole time.
If we're picking a 16-man squad, we've got space for Ben Stokes, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we have,
done.
but he's setting the tenor. Now, the next one, obviously, I need to ask about is Joe Root. How old will Joe Root be at this point?
Same.
Joe Root is currently 32 and 7 months.
So, surely, as a batter, 36 years old, going out on a high at the Oval.
I'm not writing Joe Root out for writing him off for the 2031 Ashes.
Joe Root is in the side. Do we agree with that? Oh, no, hang on. Maybe Alistair Cook's about to give us a scoop.
No, I'm not giving any scoop. I'm thinking about how hard it is to maintain to be at the pinnacle for as long as Rooty would have been. If he's playing in 2027, he's beaten Tendulkar.
Oh yeah,
well,
absolutely.
And that's what's motivating him.
Fine. So
Didn't motivate you. You just wanted 10,000. You told us yesterday, but Root, he wants 16,000.
Yeah, let's put him in. I don't think both of them will be there, but
shall we try it?
Yeah, let's try it.
And he gets to his 16,000th run at the Oval and then announces his retirement.
And walks off the Oval. Then.
Walks off at the Oval. Okay. Yeah, we like that. Okay.
But it'd be like Bradman and Bagwell.
I'm really looking forward to...
We might have a lot of people wandering off the Oval in 2027. It's waving to the crowd.
Also, I'm not looking forward to this coming back out in 5 years' time, and we're going to look like right idiots.
I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be superb, the Oval in 4 years, judging by this. Two greats of the game, walking off hand in hand. So we've got Stokes and Root. Who else? Anderson, no.
Yeah, I think we can safely say that.
Yes, Anderson, no.
Wokes, no.
Wokes, no.
Wood, no.
Wood, no. Wood, no. 4 more years, no.
Johnny is the other one to discuss.
He is, isn't he?
How old's Johnny now?
Johnny's almost 34.
Yeah, I think it's a no to Johnny.
I think it's
and again,
a no.
I don't want anyone to tell Johnny Bairstow that.
No, you do, Stefan, because then they'll want to prove you wrong, and that makes it more likely to make it.
But also, he will have wonderful white ball options, won't he, Johnny Bairstow?
Yeah, I can't
Huge
see Johnny
white ball
Bairstow in
options.
4.5 years' time.
Something we have to factor in. I've done predictions on where there will be T20 leagues during the 2027 summer, and they include Venezuela, Mongolia, Senegal, Antarctica, and
I knew
Mars.
it's going to turn into an absolute debacle.
Like every other selection, maybe.
North Korea, I suppose that's also a possibility. Right. So, how many other members of this team have we not yet discussed who might be there? So we got the openers. We've got Crawley and Duckett. I'm going to put these on the side here for discussion in a moment. We've got Brooke, of course. Who else have we got? We've got Leach that we need to put up here.
Got Pope, who's 25.
Obviously, but yes, you're talking about the squad from this year. Well, he's a shoo-in.
Moeen.
Yeah. Moeen's gone. Moeen's gone.
You could throw Josh Tongan.
Josh Tongue, yes.
Matthew Potts.
Matthew Potts,
Dan
yes.
Lawrence.
Dan Lawrence.
Dan Lawrence, yeah, another good Surrey player. Yeah.
Rayan Ahmed has been a member of the Ashes squad this summer.
That's an unbelievable dig. That's a low blow.
I'm sorry about that, but, you know.
Sorry, what did you say the last one?
Rayan Ahmed.
Yeah, sorry.
Robinson.
Ollie Robinson. How old's
Ollie
Robinson? Yeah, he's got time on his side.
He is 29 and a half.
So it could be touch and go, but
A man with a questionable fitness record. 4
Right.
years might be a stretch.
Just quickly, just gets on to results quickly. What is the longest opening partnership lasted? As in, through history, because we're kind of writing down Crawley. I'm just quickly thinking while we're naming names. How long has a partner like Hayden and Langer? How long did they go for?
It's a good
Cook
question.
and Strauss. How long did we go for? Just because we're kind of writing Crawley and Duckett, but then that's 4.5 years of international cricket for them still to doing it. It seems unlikely in terms of
With Duckett potentially a 3-format player for England as well.
because
Yeah.
I would have them as a shoe-in, as in mentally now you say not a shoe-in's a bit.
Well, before I came up here, we sort of talked about that this might be on the cards. There's an argument to say that England's top 5, regular top 5, if Pope is here instead of Ben Stokes, might not be any different. And there's an argument to say
that never happens.
yeah, of course.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
at the moment there's no debate over the place in the team of any of those 5 players, and time is on their side. But we know that cricket doesn't work like that. And I was trying to think, out of those names, who's the most vulnerable? And I was coming up with the guy who might be the next captain. I was of those
Ollie
5.
Pope.
If I had to stick my neck on the line now to say who is most first out of the England team, it might be Ollie Pope.
It might be. I tell you what, we're going to just go back to first principles first.
Okay. Sorry,
First,
we just
because
jumped.
we
Sorry.
want to
This
first
is
principles.
exactly how selection meetings start.
Yes.
They just go everywhere.
Good. Well, at least we're
Yeah,
replicating it.
exactly
That's
right.
exactly how it goes. So
Just need the bottle of wine.
What I want is, I think.
Do we have a
I think
budget for that?
We have 16 players to select, and we need one keeper, right? And possibly a reserve keeper, but of course that could be Duckett, it could be Pope, it could be Jamie Smith. We'll see. I want one specialist keeper, right? And I've just seen one that very well could be that man. We need a specialist keeper. We need 8 batters, of which 2
Well, you need
are openers.
Yeah, maybe an all-rounder. 7 batters.
7 batters and all-rounder. So let's put 1 times keeper. 7 out-and-out batters, of which 2 are openers. At least one all-rounder. 1 all-rounder. And then we've got 7 bowlers to select, of which at least 1 should be a spinner. I mean, it's in England, so it'll probably only be 1 spinner playing. Okay? Although if we're making a squad, we should probably have 2 spinners. We should have 2 spinners. Do we have 2 spinners?
Well,
And 6 seam bowlers.
I love the
Yeah.
fact we started at half an hour ago and got absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
we've just decided that we're picking some cricketers.
Yeah.
Well, this is usually the point in a traditional selection meeting where the sommelier comes around with the wine list for the second time, isn't it? And,
It's around about
the process speeds up.
Matt Butterworth has been in touch. And
I'm good. I'm glad we got a suggestion. 'Cause it
And I
can
like
help
this
us.
suggestion because I think he's the hopeful shoe-in for 4 years' time, because we're investing a lot of time and effort in this man. James Rue of Somerset, 5 first-class centuries already. He's not even 20 yet.
And I think, actually, it's where your list of types of cricketers might be a little bit rigid there, Dan.
Okay.
Because I'm going to just
He's
throw a
an
couple
all-rounder?
Well, I'm going to James Rue,
Yeah.
Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Ollie Robinson, the other Ollie Robinson, the Durham.
Yes. We can also
Durham-
keep.
Yeah, so we're looking at keepers who can potentially play as specialist batters. We might be in a little bit of a Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler situation with some of these guys. They could even just be in the side as specialist batters. So I think they could be certainly around the squad. Rue, Smith, Ollie Robinson, and you're all
And
round.
Ben Folkes.
And Ben Folkes, who a little bit older, isn't he?
We've also, because we've got Ben Stokes as captain,
Yes.
James Rue doesn't quite fit into his
Bazball.
mould of playing.
Yet.
Yeah. Oh, look, he is a phenomenal player in terms of the statistics he has delivered. I'm going back to 19 when I played. To score 500s in the first division, and quite often
This year. He got 1 last year.
so 5 this year, sorry. And quite often he's been coming in 80 for 4. So he's delivered like crucial runs. So one of those hundreds was against Lancashire, who bowling their keeper and their thing at the end. So, but that's not ruling it. So like he is a phenomenal player, but yet wouldn't fit the Ben Stokes mould of taking the opposition on. He's just he is what you'd call a classical batsman. You know, it seems like he probably has more shots than he's shown, but he just scores runs doing nicely. So
on that basis, would Josh Bohannon also perhaps have to be overlooked?
Well, that's.
I love Josh Bohannon. I'm a big fan.
He's been very consistent. He's one of those players who probably this year, like I mean, if you get his stats at his start, he got a lot of starts, hasn't he? Lots of 40s, 50s. I think he can play more aggressively than he does, but he's quite short in stature, so he's quite compact. I like him. I do like him. I think, and he's gone on a couple of Lions tours and done pretty well.
There's another name I think who could come into the middle order who certainly fits the Bazball mode of play. Has been churning out runs for fun in all formats. I think that's Sam Hain.
But he's not Bazball at all. Like he is a, he's based his game. You know, when I first saw him, he was Jonathan Trott's mannerisms as well. It's less so now, but very, like, absolutely, his statistics, are very good. Certainly, like I think in one-day cricket, he's averaging over 50 in one-day cricket. But he's not he is like the rock you'd build a traditional like middle order around, like the consistent thing, but not a player who you would stand up and so even in one-day cricket and go, well, he is going to win a game for me outright. And I think that's what Owen Morgan's theory was when he was picking the one-day squad, wasn't it? I want my top 6 that if it's their day, they win the game of cricket for them, and that's how he selected side. Hence why his stats would say he would have been in and around those squads, and they'll definitely talk about it, but he didn't get the selection nod because of that.
We've had a whole squad suggestion, which I'm just going to run through to give you an idea of just how difficult this task is going to be, because Ellie Porter has been in touch, clearly not a Surrey fan. I would suggest, I don't know, she may not be a fan of any particular county, but she's got a moderate Essex bias. She's gone for Crawley, Hayne and Duckett, top of the order. Stokes as captain. Root, Brooke, Dan Lawrence, Ollie Pope, James Rue, Sam Curran, Josh Tongue, Rehan Ahmed, Jack Leach, Jofra Archer. That's going to be the elephant in the room. We need to discuss Sam Cook.
Are you sure it's Sam?
I wondered. But you ruled out a comeback yesterday.
There's no S or A there, so I'm just checking there.
It could be you. It could. Well,
I hope it's not batting down there.
You ruled out. Well, just in case, like shorten the tail. And Ollie Robinson. I presume Ollie Robinson, the bowler. Now, my objection to that squad is that it doesn't take into account 2 of the people. Well, there's at least one of these 2 I think is an absolute nailed-on certainty to be playing cricket for England in 4 years' time. Jamie Smith.
Can we clip that?
Yes, we can.
I want that clipped.
Jamie Smith, for me, is
Will you eat something if he's not?
Well, I'll eat a modest breakfast instead of my normal standard one. I'll have a sandwich for lunch instead of a proper...
What was he eating? Was it Matt Henry?
Matt Henry's going to eating a baggy green at some point today, isn't he?
What was that? What did he say?
That Cameron Green would take 20 wickets in this series.
And how many did he end up with?
About 4.
Was it even that many? Yeah. Well, who'd be a pundit? So
5.
I'm just pointing out how difficult this is going to be, because we've got Will Jackson, Jamie Smith, both not in that squad of 16. Yep. And yet that was a pretty credible squad that Ellie came up with there. So first thing to say is that from where we're sitting at the moment, English cricket has got quite a healthy looking group of youngsters and developing cricketers. Peter Jennings in Chorlton has been in touch. Eddie Jack of Hampshire is a great prospect as a fast bowler who bats. He's 18 now, so he'll be 22 in 2027. He could be the future of England's bowling attack. 22 might be a little young, but actually what England are lacking with we're anticipating here no Broad, no Anderson, no Wokes and no Wood, is a completely changed pace bowling attack. So perhaps, because the batting is going to be pretty contentious, maybe we start with our fast bowling resources, and you as an opening batter, no man better, Alistair Cook, having been around the county circuit this year, to let us know who have been the most dangerous bowlers you've been facing on that circuit.
Well, Carl Abbott,
unfortunately,
Mohammed Abbas, they gave me a bit of trouble last week.
Okay.
Jimmy Anderson got you out twice.
Jimmy
didn't he?
Anderson got me out twice.
Dan Worrell?
None of them are out. Yeah, Dan Worrell.
Well, he's actually qualified to play for England next year, so...
Yeah, he didn't get me out this year. I don't think.
Right.
I tell you, well, Gus Atkinson, I like.
Did he get you out as well?
He did get me out.
Twice?
Well, you obviously know the answer to that because you want to say it so smugly, but I did have 50 in the first. Must have been a dodgy LBW.
Tell me about Gus Atkinson, because people have raved about. I've seen a fair bit of him. He's quick. Does he do anything with the ball as well?
Yeah, what surprised me about Gus Atkinson, we saw him a couple of years ago where he did just run in and bowl.
So Stuart Meeker like?
No, he's taller. He's like Stuart Meeker. We remember him as skidded it through. Gus Atkinson's definitely, without using too much of a cliche, hit the pitch and hit the bat hard bowler. When I look at him, when I see him bowl, you feel there's a lot more in the tank, because he doesn't look like he uses that much effort to get the ball down there a decent lick. Apparently, talking to him, that is at the moment he's one of those players who just, it looks easy, but actually he is striving for as much pace as he can get. But I do think that if looks like there's a bit more untapped pace there, so I like him, and he did have raw skills in terms of the ability to move the ball, a bit like when I first saw Mark Wood. Obviously everyone was raving about this guy from Durham, bowled genuinely quick, got him in the nets in England, and he had the ability to swing and move the ball. I think he's improved his skills dramatically since, but so I like him. The problem about is developing these squads, isn't it? That's what when Mounty texts me, I dreaded it, because you don't know how these players are going to develop.
No. But no one's holding you to this.
Well, they are, because I'm going to come straight back. We're making Matt eat his hat on.
Whoever it is who's holding Matt Henry to the camera in green predictions, no doubt listening in now, and it's going to unleash in 4 years' time.
I do like Gus Atkinson, and I think, if he develops on the upward curve, I think he could be there or thereabouts. I think I'm going to be biased like you, bias your Surrey hat on, my Essex hat, and I think Sam Cooke should be one of our first names.
What's holding him back at the moment? Because his wickets numbers are brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, what's holding him back is he's been trying to get into the team of Broad and Anderson, and now Chris Wokes, who do his role. That's his role. He's not an express pace bowler. I do think, we've seen him in the 100 click 83, 84 miles an hour. So he's got that ability to bowl quicker than he can do in county cricket, because as we know, it is a grind. But he has done the hard yards. He has done he's bowled the donkey overs. He's bowled, incredible amount for overs for Essex. Let's be honest, we have a slightly smaller squad than the rich boys at Surrey, so he has to play more. So his body is accustomed to that. He's got good skills. He's got the outswing, he's got the inswing and the wobble seam. He's an intelligent bowler, and I think just being around the England set, it will take him a little bit of adjusting just to the intensity of Test cricket, because I think that is the difference. When you almost have to bowl at 85% to get through the season, but in international cricket there is none of that. You have to be operating higher than that, and I think that would be a little adjustment. But I think he is one of the replacements for when Broad Broad has now gone, but when Anderson and Wokes go, he is your holding bowler, the one who doesn't miss length, the one who finds something out of the pitch and bowls and bowls and bowls for you.
Well, I know that he's a different type of bowler from Ollie Robinson, but Ollie Robinson bowls at 81 miles an hour and has been hugely effective in Test cricket. So we know that anyone who can get late movement, late nip, if you're bowling it, look at one of your nemesis. What was his name? Mohammed Asif.
Yeah, or
it was a terrific
Stuart Clark.
Terrific bowlers who bowled 78 to 80. Well, Mohammed Asif bowled 78 miles an hour, and yet the late movement is what matters.
I don't think you doubt to see both Ollie Rob, the bowler, and Sam Cooke in the same team. Yeah. I would say, unless it's really, I do think you'll need a slight difference, but. We're picking a squad of 16, 17.
We are. So, and we've seen bowler rotation. William Robinson has chucked a couple of names into the mix. Bryden Cass, who of course played for England in that. It was because of COVID. He came into the one-day side and had a lot of pace and also very handy with a bat. And he's better than a number 9. And we've got to think about our tail a little bit. And Hasib Hamid, who's not had a bad season, and he's tried to add a bit more aggression to his game. Andy Zoltzman's crunching various numbers. Which ones are we looking at here, Sam?
Well, you're looking at Sam Cook, who I've looked at Championship cricket, including the Bob Willis Trophy in the summer of 2020, since the start of the decade. He's taken 167 wickets, average 16, with an economy rate of 2.3. Only Simon Harmer has more wickets in the Championship in that time, and only Ollie Robinson has a better average of bowlers who've taken 20 or more wickets. So he has been alongside Robinson, the standout seamer in county cricket that's the last 4 seasons.
Thank you. If you are just wondering why it is that we are picking a side for 2027, it's because the rain is falling at the Oval. It's been a soggy old July, hasn't it? And it's continuing in that vein. We're expecting it to rain for the best part of another hour and a bit. Then the clean-up will happen, and then we'll see how much time either of these or both sides have to press for a victory. Australia 238 for 3, having lost 3 wickets in the morning session, but a partnership of 69 has developed between Travis Head and, of course, Steve Smith batting at the Oval, which he loves so much. The ball is 66 overs old, so a new ball will be available in 14 overs. There's still plenty of opportunity for twists and turns to come later this evening. But we're going to get back to selecting our 2019... It's a 2019 Ashes squad. 2027 Ashes squad.
Can we, before we keep going around, can we put Sam Cook in there for me? I'm having a vote. Let's get, because this is what having selection means. You go round and around the houses, you don't actually put anything down.
Well, what do you
Before
reckon?
you know it, it's midnight.
What do you reckon,
made a
Zoltz?
decision.
What do you reckon?
Well, the stats are very strong, so you'd expect him to get a go at some point in the near future. It's quite hard to select 4 years ahead. And we're looking at the other bowlers
Well,
who've
I'm
done...
sorry about that, but that's what we're doing.
Looking at the other bowlers who've done very well in county cricket. Craig Overton has done tremendously well in county cricket. Did all right in a few games for England, but seems to have been jettisoned from contention over the last year.
And then you have his brother Jamie, who has proved to be a fantastic batter. Only got the one opportunity to play for England, scored 97 on debut, and then got injured. And he gives a bit of pace as well.
I'm going to throw another name in there. If and when, and hopefully he gets fit after making quite an impressive start to his England career, Saqib Mahmood.
Well, he's on my list here. Saqib Mahmood. Well, look, I'm going to give you Sam Cook.
Have we got any just out and out, like, because no one has said Red Ahmed would have played Test cricket this time last year. Have we got anyone? And I don't know anyone, so I'm just seeing
A bolter
of a pace bowler who.
I've got one. I've got a spinning bolter, Shoaib Bashir of Somerset. Off spinner, tall. I like the look of him.
But we're talking about seam bowlers, please.
All right, do you want me to go back to seam bowlers?
We can go on to seam. We can go on to spinners in a minute.
I've got a seam bowling bolter, but actually, maybe here's one. Listening to TMS at the moment, will someone please ask about George Scrimshaw? Quick bowler at Derbyshire, says Jason Rowland.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen him on the TV.
Because you don't get the chance to play against the second division, do you?
Not for a while, we haven't.
For a while, no.
So he wasn't around when we
He looks
used
pretty rapid from what I saw.
And he's in the 100, isn't he? I think he's
Yes.
been picked up as a wild card or something in the 100. So he looks. I mean, I've seen him once on things, but yeah, he's definitely got some raw attributes. So I can't comment on him.
There's a couple of other bolters we could throw into the mix. Sonny Baker, young bowler at Somerset, who made an impact in the One Day Cup when he played for Somerset, made in his first campaign last year. He's been injured since then. Henry Brooks at Warwickshire, who's got pace, but he's been struggling to get game there in front of the likes of Rushworth, Hannon Dolby, Liam Norwell, and Mitchell Stanley, who made an impression for Manchester Originals in the 100 last year, bowled with real pace. He's not made his first class debut for Worcestershire. I need to find out why. But he's only played 10 T20s, but he's very quick.
Well, it's nice of you to name those three. I don't think they're getting in the squad yet.
They're not. There are
isn't
bolters, though.
Well, I was just throwing a bit around, you know.
Yeah. Daniel Cooper says he'd love to see Jack White in the England setup. Class act, as Sir Alistair knows all too well.
Well, I've actually got a bone to pick with Jack White.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's that then?
Well, so we played them last year in the last game of the season where there was nothing on the game, and nothing on the game as in he played in good spirit. Anyway, he walked out to bat with he didn't have a sponsor.
Jack White didn't have a sponsor.
So he had different gloves.
Remind us all who he was playing for.
Northants.
Yeah.
So a decent opening bowler. He's probably got me out a couple of times. That's why he said remind him, but does enough. Good try. He's a bit older, so I think he's mid-30s and kind of come back with just kind of been given this second chance. I think he was a gamekeeper up on a grouse small actually, like, and then he's come back and played a bit of cricket. Great character, one of the old school characters in terms of like he wasn't an academy product. He was played club cricket, given the chance, a real good trier. Anyway, so the end of the game, last game of the season, go into their dressing room, have a beer and stuff and chat away. Anyway, I gave him my pads and gloves. And I don't know if I gave him a bat or not, but so he was now Gray Nichols through and through.
Right. Other equipment manufacturers are available.
They're not very good though.
So
I've just got daggers from the chairman of Easy.
That's the opinion of Alistair Cook, not that of the BBC. Made that very clear.
Anyway, so I was like, right, there he is. He now looks like a proper crew. Anyway, this year, first game of the season, not using any of them.
Did he come out without pads and gloves?
Well, I don't know. He just wasn't using the make I can't say. So
right.
I then texted him.
Yeah.
And he didn't have my number, so I found his number, texted him saying, what's going on? No reply, no nothing. So for that, Jack White can't get in my squad.
He's not playing. He'll also be 35 and a half years old then. And I don't think we've got a strong enough body of work to get him into this party yet. I want to go back to Saqib Mahmood because I've got a lot of time for Saqib Mahmood, and he's had a couple of stress fractures, but he seems to me to be somebody who's got quite a high ceiling if things go right for him. You'll have faced him a few times, Saqib, really?
Not as much as I should have done it, I feel.
Yeah.
He's been injured a lot when we played Lancashire now. I think I might have just faced him once in a Red Bull game. Hopefully Zoltz is either going to...
Because he played for England in the West Indies, didn't he, alongside Matt Fisher, whom we haven't mentioned, but he's sort of tailed off a bit, really, for Yorkshire.
Well, he's just like... Just the injury proneness of him.
Hasn't he got a strange fact about how he's not managed to do more than 4 first-class games?
He's like the English Ryan Harris, isn't he? In terms of got a lot of, He
got very good, Ryan Harris.
Yeah, I mean, he bowled a lot quicker than Matthew Fisher, but that kind of just can't get a good enough run to get the numbers up. When he does play, he is good. So Saqib, I think we all like. There's a huge amount of potential, isn't there, to unleash, but. Yeah, unfortunately, there has to. That's why Sam Cook, in my opinion, kind of whether it's natural resilience or whatever, you've got to get that as a bowler to be performing out there regularly. It's like Mark Wood had to go through kind of tough periods in his career to be able to get out there. Yeah, he hasn't got the same robustness as a Stuart Broad or a James Anderson, but he's got probably as robust as he can do. And until Saqib puts, a summer together, where I'm not saying he has to play every game for Lancashire at all, because that doesn't do him any good, but
sort of 40-wicket summer perhaps.
And playing 60% of the games managed really well. Of course the danger is when you're a county coach or a county team where you've got the ability of someone like him in your side, you want to play him. He has a good game. It's very hard then to leave him out the next one, and that is what can happen.
I'm just looking at our list of definites, and it's currently Stokes, Root and Sam Cook.
Yeah, we're getting there.
That's what happens with these select chairmen.
All right, I'm going to give you another definite in the squad, and it is the bowling Ollie Robinson.
Yes.
I think in 4 years' time, I was surprised that he didn't play a larger part in this Ashes, but that back spasm might have been part of the reason. He picks up wickets even when he's not bowling very well, which is a fantastic sign for a bowler who picked up 10 wickets, wasn't it, the first 2 games? And we scratched our head to work out how he'd come away with that bowling performance with 3 for 78 again, but he does.
I'm happy to have that.
Yep, he's on. Sam Cook and Ollie Robinson. So far, we haven't got above 81 miles an hour, but we're getting there.
But I think we also need to put a few more definites in just to jump around a bit, because that wouldn't be a proper selection meeting. We didn't jump about a bit. So stuff like Ollie Pope, we need to get him in there.
He's in the squad, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's in the squad. Ollie Pope's up here in the squad,
and I think James Root is definitely in the squad.
And James Root, I'm giving you James Root. He's down here as a wicket keeper. Yeah.
Need to nail these openers. Are they?
Well, do we?
Well, we're going to need some.
I want to get back to our fast bowlers first.
Okay.
Robert Jackson says, how about Liam Norwell of Warwickshire if he can become consistently fit? I like Liam Norwell. But, yes.
Well, his stats are good. He's not played a huge amount of red ball cricket this decade, 18 matches, but 80 wickets at 17, a wicket every 39 balls of England qualified bowlers with 20 or more wickets in that time.
He got a Lions.
Is that Liam Norwell?
Liam Norwell.
He's 31.
Well, yeah, he's 31, but only Robinson, Sam Cook, Jimmy Anderson are ahead of him in terms of average in the championship since 2010.
I think he's too old and too injury prone for me to be in a squad of 16 now. He might get there if he has a couple of good seasons, but from where we're sitting here in 2023, nice suggestion, don't get there. WG Rumble Panther, ever present on Twitter, suggests Jacob Bethel. Ian Bell described him as the best 17-year-old he's ever seen.
A left-hander from Warwickshire. I have played a couple of times against him, and without doubt, a lot of talent there. So that would be in the Bolter.
He's in the mix.
That will be in the Bolter.
The Bolter.
That'll be like if we get to a squad of 14. You know, and then you've got to throw a couple of wild cards in there, which he without doubt he could be one of those.
Are we still looking for pace bowlers?
Yes.
I am. I want to talk about Jofra Archer.
What do you want to say?
Well, I want to say that I want him to be in this team.
And we all want him.
We all want him to be in this team, and because we really want him to be in this team, if fit, he gets in it, doesn't he?
I absolutely, if fit, but I just like we're talking another 4 years on from a person who has bowled so little in red ball cricket over the last 2 years. When he has come back and tried to play red ball cricket or bowl, his elbow has flared up quite badly. So
how good a thing is it,
I'm not making a statement about anything about eating any hats or anything.
No.
But I would be very surprised in the next year or so if he's not just a T20 bowler.
I think, and it's hard to disagree with.
In a really sad way, and I hope I'm totally and utterly proved wrong.
The only thing you could say about Jofra's injury struggles is that he hasn't bowled many deliveries in all forms.
Well,
of
like
cricket.
Pat Cummins had a long time out of the game, didn't he? And came back stronger, faster, fitter, better.
So that
He wasn't as fast, because I played Pat Cummins in 2010, and it was, I think, just in a one-day game at Lords before he got injured again, and that was genuinely quick, quick, and he has definitely slipped from a 91, 92 mile an hour bowler to an 87 consistent. So I wouldn't say he's kind of had to evolve himself to be able to play like the part he does now.
And is he a definite in our 16-man squad? And on talent, absolutely. We're definitely saying he's going to be around in 4 years' time.
Okay.
Well, he's only 28 now, so he'd be younger than Mark Wood is during this series. To remind people of his test figures, 42 wickets in 13 tests, average 31. But that debut Ashes series, 4 tests over 20 wickets, a very good average.
Or does he go in out of optimism, in the hope of what he is capable of if fit?
Well, we're offering him. We're offering him this place in the team.
You're the chairman of
time.
Selectors.
I'm saying, Jofra, you're in 4 years' time, if fit.
Stick him on the list then.
I want him so badly, I can't tell you. Right.
Jim Maxwell has predicted that he won't be able to bowl underarm in 4 years' time.
And do we think Sam Curran's going to come again?
I'd like him as our all-rounder. He gives us a left-arm option. England win way more games than they lose when he plays. Do you know what he is? He's a player who makes makes things happen.
I think Sam Curran gets in, doesn't he?
I'll concur. I like Sam Curran.
Sam
Actually, every
Curran's our
time he has
all-rounder.
played for England in a Test match, he has done well.
Here's a good suggestion from Rob Etel. What about Rishi Patel at Leicestershire? Scored 179 a few weeks ago against Glamorgan, and I've seen he's got some good numbers this year. Rishi Patel.
Yes, he came from Essex. Actually, he left Essex a couple of years ago to go and play at Leicestershire. We actually at Essex we had quite a senior batting lineup and still have. And he certainly. I mean, I don't know him that well, but one thing when you watched him bat, he played shots which made you sit up. And he's obviously gone away there. In Leicestershire, I think, have been a good place to bat, hasn't it? This year, it's a big go from a second division to second division opener to an England opener. But he's just signed another. I think he signed another couple of years at Leicester. So whether he might this is no disrespect to Leicester, might have to move to a first division side to push on
to attract the eye of the chairman of selectors.
Possibly, but I don't know. What's your view on the second division and first division? Are we picking from the second division?
Well, no, we can pick from everywhere, but I would say that there is a definite difference in quality of persistence of bowling is what I see. In the first division, I see that you don't get very much let up. You know, if you play against Surrey, you've got Abbott, Laws, Jordan Clark.
Well, Laws is
well, I was coming on to him. Yeah, Dan. Well, of course, I was going to come on to him.
You haven't started your Surrey round.
Hampshire have got 4 great fast bowlers. Essex have got a relentless bowling attack. So if you score runs in the first division, it's a little different when you play against second division sides where they may have 2 very good bowlers. I think their bowlers are more likely to come into contention than the batters because the bowlers can bowl objectively splendidly against anybody, whereas the batters, I think they need to be tested against the relentlessness of bowling.
So there's another all-round possibility. I was looking at Rishi Patel's championship average, just under 36 this decade, just above
Not
him.
this year, though. He's averaging 60 this year, I think.
These are the stats I said from 2020 onwards. Matt Critchley, just above him,
yes,
who's...
big fan.
82 wickets in 43 games at 33 bowling leg spin, also averaging 36 with the bat. You play with him at Essex. How do you see him as a potential player?
I hope he's not listening. No, good old Creepy. No, we love him. He's been a brilliant signing for Essex. He bats at 6 and 5, so that kind of lower middle order and player has the ability to score quickly, so would fit into the mould of that attacking nature. I think his leg spin is probably underrated in as such that at the moment for Essex, when we want a spinner to bowl, we tend to throw the ball to Simon Harmer. I don't know what he's picked up quite a lot of crucial wickets in his 2 or 3 overs he gets.
Does he pick up wickets, if you don't mind me saying so, in that classic leg spinner's way, with a surprise bit of filth, or does he get it with a lovely looping leg break that
I'd say more a Kumble in terms of he's not going to flatter and fast. Actually, his one-day record, he's been picked up a couple of times in the 100, and his T20 record is decent. He would be at what you'd call a second spinner. You wouldn't pick him as an outright spinner. But do
you think he could be as effective as Joe Root as a second spinner?
Yes.
Do you think it's a possibility then for the India tour in the new year? If you were selecting a squad, looking at the spin options,
would he get in front of Jacks? He's competing with Jacks for that spot.
I think it's an interesting shout. The one thing he hasn't done, and not often now, certainly even under this era, you got to go on an England line. Did he go on England lines last year? And just the white ball, I think. I don't think he did the red ball stuff, but. Again, if you want a bit of balance in terms of options, a batter who bowls a bit and takes the ball away from the right-hander.
Yeah, but then you've got Rayan Ahmed, haven't you?
And I think if we're talking, as well, you sort of sent us down the all-rounders route when we were talking about pace bowlers with Sam Curran. Rayan Ahmed's got to be a definite, I think, in this squad. I think they've
groomed him for it, haven't they?
Well, I think there's a reasonable chance he could be batting at number 7 for England in 4 years' time, and giving them options from 7 of having 4 seamers below him or another spinner below him as well.
So you could play Critchley at 7, as in like that kind of role. In terms of they're
sort of in that same.
They're in the same kind of role. You'd say that Ahmed has got probably a bigger leg spinner than Critchley. And actually, I think this year Critch is the first year he's got 200s in a year. He's got, I think, 7 or 8 first-class hundreds, but
one on debut, I think, for Derbyshire.
Yeah. But so he's like, I think there's certainly an upward curve with him. That's what's hard about picking a squad 4 years ago, whether it continues on that real, because coming from a Derby to coming to a first division side, and the expectation and playing under pressure of first division, hopefully catching Surrey is runs in September is it's big. It's all that kind of stuff which you throw in the mix. But I like it. I think it's good cricket.
I like him a lot, but I'm putting him. Do you know what? He's been mentioned in the selection meeting.
Yes.
But because I don't think we're going to play Rayan Ahmed and Critchley. It could be perfectly possible that as these next 4 years progress, Critchley moves ahead of Rayan Ahmed. But Rayan Ahmed has taken 5 wickets on debut,
Well, Ahmed's going to get a window this year, isn't he?
He is.
Critchley might be the sort of player that you've got to have an awkward phone call with Dan to tell him why he's not in.
Well, he won't mind that, because I interviewed him at the beginning of last year saying, in this interview, we're going to try and make out that you're going to get in the England team, so if you do, I'm going to look brilliant. And he was really happy with that.
But he has the ability to be a destructive batsman. As in he scores naturally quickly, and and I think his development in the last year or so is his ability to take bowlers down. It's certainly in T20 and the 100 he's got picked up in the London Spirit. He has. I know that because Dan picked him. Dan Lawrence as captain, right. Said you come, but as in you'll see some good clean strike, mate. So that one, the Ahmed Critchley. You're absolutely right. They're kind of like level peg. Ahmed's ahead because he's played, but you don't quite know.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. At this
stage
in the meeting, I'm putting Round Ahmed stroke.
You've talked it in, Cookie.
Can I say quickly one thing about James Roux?
Yes.
He has the ability to bat 6 as the wicketkeeper.
Right.
So therefore, it gives you a bit more of a flexible option with your 7 and 8, if that makes sense.
And are his hands good enough to be keeper?
Well, I think
out keeper.
Like all these things, at 19, you're not the finished article as a keeper. But when I watched him keep, I didn't notice it yet.
Right.
But there's a big step up when you're put under pressure and you've got us lot talking about your keeping in front of all these people. But he's 19 as a keeper. To me, keeping, you can do it when you've got the basics he has. He's just going to have to do the good old knuckle down and graft for a bit on it.
I think what this points to, actually, though, if you think of where England's strength as a test team has been, even going back to when Cookie was captain, was that engine room of having a middle order of possibly Stokes, Bairstow, Moeen Ali. The future in that area of the team looks really bright. If you think we could have a number 6 wicketkeeper of maybe a Roux, a Smith or a Robinson, followed by an Ahmed, followed by a Sam Curran.
Help that batting, because when England were at their very best, when they were number 1 in the world, it was when Stuart Broad was playing like an all-rounder and Graham Swan was actually playing almost like an all-rounder.
Engine room looks strong.
Yes. Just a little update on the weather. The water falling from the sky, otherwise known as rain, appears to be slightly less heavy than it was. Some of the umbrellas have come down.
I think it's in the air, isn't it?
I think it's just in the air now, yes, as Andy Zoltzman's having a look. The covers are still out there. The ground staff are doing nothing except standing. When I say nothing, they're standing around waiting to be given the go-ahead to start the clear-up. But I must tell you, it is still deeply gloomy. We've had a suggestion from Riff Devin, which is a terrific name, by the way. Might I respectfully suggest both Dan Mousley and Rob Yates from Warwickshire. Rob Yates has been scoring some runs. They've got some good figures right now, he's saying.
Mousley's a good cricketer.
Yeah.
Hits it hard.
They like Mousley a lot, I know this. I heard from listening to Clive Eakin and the team at Edgbaston. I know that he's very popular. What have you
got?
Pump.
Young. He's young, isn't he, as well? Is he a similar age to Jacob Bethel?
22, he's a bit older.
What have you got for us on those two, Andy?
Dan Mousley, 15 first-class matches this decade, averaging 32 with the bat. But yeah, how old is he's 22 years old now. So, yeah.
But would be again depending on the skipper, has the ability to he probably feels more natural in the one-day game than he does the 4-day game at the moment, which is not unlike.
What about Rob Yates, top of the order? Because I take exactly what one of our selectors here, Stefan Schemmelt, said about Crawley and Duckett, that from where we're standing at the moment, they look, well, they've nailed their place in the team.
Well, we're still waiting for the question I threw at Zoltz. What is the longest opening partnership?
Oh, I had that ages ago.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. These selection meetings you forget, don't you?
Hobbs and Sutcliffe, I imagine, lasted a while. They'd have lasted from soon after the First World War.
I don't think they're going to
find it again. Hang on.
Through to about 1928-9, they were pretty handy. Hanger and Laden were Hanger and Laden.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Down for the coin toss later. The selection meeting will end at 3:30 or earlier. I'm letting you know. So we've got 23 minutes to get through this.
Get on this.
And at the moment, though, I think we've got some definites. We've got 10 definites. Ben Stokes, Joe Root, Ollie Pope, Harry Brook.
I think we've got to have Zach Crawley as definite. Because he will be 20... Was he now 25 now?
Come on, I'm giving you Zach Crawley, yeah. Who would have thought that at the start of this season?
Are we taking Duckett as a definite?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
So we're having Crawley but not Duckett?
We are at the moment,
okay,
yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. Quite definitely.
The longest duration for an opening pair between the first time they opened and the last in Test cricket.
It's 25 years or
Yeah,
something.
16 years, 166 days. Bill Edrich and Len Hutton.
But they do it all the time together.
No, they didn't. Only 10 innings, but they with a world war intervening. Greenwich and Haynes.
Yes.
148 innings together over 13 years and 2 months.
Yeah, that's proper.
Yeah, that's a decent effort.
And Langer and Hayden? What have we got for them? And indeed Hobson Sutcliffe.
Well, Langer and Slater spanned 7.5 years.
Right.
Sorry, Hayden and Slater.
Yes.
Let me find Langer and Hayden.
But would it have been Hayden and Slater every time for 7 years?
Not every time, probably. Bit of in and out
But
going on there.
I think we can put Ben Duckett. What is he? 28 now.
There's a really important reason why Ben Duckett will still be in the England team for a little while, if not for those 4 years.
Spare keeper?
No. Stuart Broad has handed on responsibility for organising the kickabout in the warm-up.
Has he?
That is key.
Are we saying Brendan McCullum is still going to be here in 4 years' time? Because
They'll still be allowed to play football, though.
yeah, but they might have to do a warm-up.
They may have to do it.
So the new coach, I'd imagine, might like to go back, a little bit and actually do a group warm-up, which.
Well, they might have a coach and captain who are obsessed with snooker, and they just put a load of snooker tables out in the outfield before play.
So Duckett has to bring the cues.
I think we have to.
I'm torn here, and I'll tell you for why. Because it was only about 2 months ago, namely just before this Ashes series started, that if you canvassed almost everybody in the press box and all of the broadcasters, one of the things about which everyone was certain was that Crawley and Duckett were going to struggle massively against Hazelwood and Cummins and Stark. And actually, they've produced the best opening batting performance by England openers in a home Ashes series since Andy told us what it was yesterday, but a long time ago. And there's some pretty good competition, including, you and Andrew Strauss and whatnot.
One thing Duckett has in his favour is he's been, for most of his career, he's had a couple of fallow seasons, but he's scored heavily in red ball cricket in a way that Zach Crawley hasn't, really. He's never had a big season for Kent. Has come good for England this summer after over 30 Test. Duckett since the start of the decade averaging 51 in county championship cricket, so he's a regular run scorer and has done well in the Test so far. And how much he thrives might depend on the type of pitches that England play on over the next few years, and if they're pitches that move more than they have this year and more like the pitches of 3 or 4 years ago, whether he can adapt his game accordingly. But his stats from county cricket have been consistently good for
and let's not
time.
forget that at some point they're going to have to go to Australia, which ends the careers of a whole load of people. So yes, we are going to talk about him. But anyway, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you Duckett. So at the moment,
what do we need?
Yeah, I think the chances of actually both of those opening is probably not that high.
But we
because
don't
of just
know why.
We don't know why.
Yeah.
But from what we've seen in this series, they've been superb. So there's no reason why, at their ages and the way they play cricket, that they shouldn't be here.
I'll tell you what we're doing here. We are selecting a team on the information we have right now.
Yeah.
Now, we're not gazing into a crystal ball. We are selecting the team for 2027 as if, the information we have now is all the information we've got.
So what have we got?
We've got Duckett, Crawley. We don't know who's Pope. Duckett, Crawley, Pope, Rhodes, Brooke and Stokes.
So we've got the same top six.
How long have we been talking about this?
But we need a spare batter, don't we?
Well, we're having. I'm afraid, as chairman of selectors here,
Come on, we've only got time.
Just where Jamie Smith marches towards the
you
conversation.
are going to need
Yeah.
You are going to need to do an awful lot of convincing that Jamie Smith is not in that team.
Stick him in.
Jamie Smith is a generational talent, in my view.
Perfect.
When Surrey chased down 501 to beat Kent, the second highest run chasing county championship history, it would have been even more if it weren't for the fact that Kent got out, setting them only 501, because they won it by about 6 wickets with overs to spare. Dom Sibley got his century up in about 382 balls. Ben Folkes got his in 198. Jamie Smith in 78. The man's a genius.
So
he's in this team and he's our spare wicket keeper.
I mean, again, we're talking about the same top five. That is very unlikely to happen.
It's very unlikely. So Jamie Smith, I think, is in our
it.
mix.
We've got to get
We're
one
happy with
right.
that, are we?
So we've
And
got
then
6 batters and 2 keepers. We're happy with that?
Yeah, we don't need another keeper, do we?
We've got Smith and Root.
We wanted 7 batters.
But we've got...
So we need one more. We do definitely
Because
need one more.
Smith's a batter, so we need one more. And it, to me, is between the likes of, and this is where it gets tricky, Dan Lawrence, Will Jacks, Jacob Bethel, Josh Bohannon. These are very different types of player. Any other batters out there? We've had some suggestions in, but not sure they're quite getting it yet for sheer
Like
weight of runs.
Hamid is, you're talking about.
Hasib Hamid is a
he was
spare
suggest-
keeper.
Tom
No, no.
Haynes.
Now it's Sussex. Sussex have got a bunch of good players, which you won't see too much of because, again, they're in second division. But Stephen Finn, our second division correspondent, he assures me there's a couple of very good players. Carson.
Well, Carson.
They love
Carson, I think
Carson.
we need to come on to Carson when we talk.
Spin.
Should we talk about him now?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Because
Carson.
he's also been around the England squad for the past 2 matches. They've had him bowling in the nets at Old Trafford. They've had him here as well. I think Carson is very likely to go to India. Actually, I think there's a decent chance he might be in the squad as
How
early
many
as
spinners
January.
you taking to
But
India?
I think, and also,
you've got
I think-
Leach going, you've got Rayan Ahmed going, you've got
Jacks.
Will Jacks going, you've got Joe Root already out there. and
But they
Carson.
might need that many.
But you say a lot of them, like Jack Carson. Again, I have not actually seen him bowl. I've only heard reports. A from Stephen Finn, a couple from the England lads who said he's been around. I think he's very unusual in this day and age that he is actually more suited to bowling with the red ball than he is the white ball.
Right.
As in, he does give it some air. He has got the drift. He does spin it hard, and this is all second-hand knowledge.
Very brief update. The update is that ground staff are moving around, which is terrific news because they'll bring brooms out now and super soppers. We're nowhere near a start of a resumption of play, but what we have had now is a cessation of rain, so they will start to clear up. It will take quite a while because there are about 9 tarpaulins stretched across this massive green sward, and they'll have to sweep off the water and then they'll have to super sopper it up.
If you think about England's squad in Pakistan last year when they had Leach, Rayan Ahmed, Will Jacks and Liam Livingstone, there's a reasonable
True,
chance
yeah.
that Carson goes to India instead of Livingstone, I think.
I like your thinking. I don't know if he's getting in this squad yet, though.
Okay.
Andy.
Well, Carson's figures this decade in county championship, 75 wickets at 38. But we often talk about how difficult it is for spinners in the championship. So that's not reasonably good for a spinner.
They're reasonable figures for a spinner. I'm not sure they're forcing their way into his team yet because if we're going to talk about spinners, Jack Leach, he feels head and shoulders above any other spinner.
How old is
in
Jack
the country.
Leach then?
He's 32.
So again, we're
Spinners last a while, don't they?
I know, but we're just talking. I can't get my head around the longevity of it. Of this, a couple of these guys are falling away because that is just the natural element of it.
I think one thing, a crucial
Early tea is going to be taken, by the way, at 3:20.
A crucial thing to take into consideration here, if Ben Stokes is still our captain as well, is the loyalty that Stokes has shown to a lot of these players. And if we're talking about Leach, now these are 2 players who do have a very strong bond, and arguably Jack Leach is someone who has improved under the captaincy of Ben Stokes more than any other, and has been relied upon by Stokes as a player. He's been a big miss for England in this series.
And how are we up to? 14?
I think that's 13.
13.
I think you're going to have to put Jack Leach in, aren't you?
So look, we've sorted out our batting lineup.
We need one more.
Have you
Jefferson Folkes?
7 batters?
Folkes averaging over 50 in the championship this year. Has done well for England with the bat.
Does seem incredibly unfair, doesn't it? That Jamie Roo's getting straight into this team on the basis of 5 centuries this summer, and he's 19 years old because we're showing so much hope and faith in him. But Ben Folkes will not be young then.
He'll be 34 in modern sport. That's not as
And he doesn't play white ball cricket.
not
does
as
he?
old as it used to be. And also, it slightly depends on the captaincy and the coaching as it is then, because we talk about the impact of players. Folkes had a very big impact on a number of games with the bat, just not in the Baz Balian style. But he was he made 6 or 7 quite important contributions over 10 games, and his keeping was very good.
But if he can't get in now, how's he getting in 4 years' time?
I agree.
The way
because Bairstow's not there.
Yeah, so he's not gotten now because of the need to balance the team for this series, particularly with the issue with Stokes' bowling.
That might not be going away, though.
But it might be that the team is better balanced with a player like him.
I just think that James Root, you can't just be a flash in the pan at 19 with 5 first-class hundreds in the first division.
There aren't many people who've done that, are there?
I mean, I doubt there must be.
I think there's been
and I just
one,
think,
and it wasn't Dennis Compton, was it? Who was it? We'll find out. There might be Bill Edridge.
Otherwise, we're just kind of picking the same team, and no one's aged at all. Apart from that, we're just throwing players out. I think we've got to be a bit braver.
I'm gutted
Chairman.
about this, but I'm hearing from too many people that Folkes isn't going to play. I'm genuinely gutted. I expected to be back in the England team for India, incidentally, but I don't think he will be in the Ashes decider at the Oval.
So if that's just the batters we're taking, Dan Lawrence, who's reserved now, who's going to your county, you've got your 7.
Yeah,
So-
Dan Lawrence as well. It's tough, isn't it?
So you're saying that Jamie Smith has jumped over Dan Lawrence, and
Yeah, we've got 7 batters and a keeper. I don't see how we're fitting anyone else in.
fine.
Yeah,
We haven't even talked about England's reserve batsman now. He's 25. He's averaged probably 40 odd, 50 this year.
I need the second spin bowler because we've got Rayan Ahmed plus. Now, is it Leach? Is it Carson? Is it Shoaib Bashir? Is it Liam Patterson-White?
No.
No. Okay.
Sorry, Liam. No, it's not him.
Any other spinners?
Carson's the one who's been giving me the thing, but we are looking into crystal balls. The easy thing will just be say Jack Leach, because we can't get
more
mud through.
It's more fun to say Jack Carson.
Let's put
isn't
Jack
it?
Carson in there.
For no other reason
let's put
that we
Jack Carson.
want to have a bit of fun
And also, if
throw
it's
it
right,
forward 4 years.
And if it's right, then we'll come back.
We
to
can't
this.
just keep picking the same players that they've got here.
No.
Afternoon all. Random suggestions for 2027, says Dan Hunt. Finley Bean, got to be picked through the name alone. Tom Hartley. Now, David Bumble Lloyd is a big fan of Tom Hartley. He thinks he should go to India because he bowls left arm, but quicker, slow left arm.
He's very tall as well.
Tall and into the pitch. He sees him as kind of Akshay Patel.
Yeah. So I can see that.
Yep.
I can see that, but just watching when we faced him at Blackpool, and it didn't turn much. Dan Lawrence, you almost felt sorry for Hartley at the end.
Right.
And I didn't see enough. I didn't see enough then to go, he's got something. It's hard to pick players, and I think quickly just on picking players, selection is incredibly hard. But there's got to be, in my opinion, there has to be something which makes you stand up and take note, and you don't know what the note is. So, like, for example, Joss Butler, when I first saw him bat in a one-day game, I was like, I know everyone said, well, that's obvious, but actually he had something about him. Johnny Bairstow hit the ball incredibly hard, didn't seem to mistime a ball, crunch balls, and he made me stand up. Jamie Smith is that same thing. He actually got 30 of 120 odd balls against us to save the game, to save your skin. The rain saved you, cost us so much.
I know, I'm so sorry about that.
So the ability to do that and then play like the innings he did the other day against Kent shows, again, it just made me sit up and take notes. So Hartley didn't do that to me.
Right.
So that's what I can't say yes. And James Root obviously has done that for me. So has Sam Cook.
More of Dan's suggestions here. James Rue we've got in. Tom Haynes, he's definitely been spoken about in dispatches. I like the look of him. He doesn't get into this side simply because we've picked much the same team, but also because Ollie Pope is young, Harry Brook is young, Jamie Smith is young, Joe Root we hope is going to be there and is an all-time generational great. Ben Stokes is our captain.
Because we don't want to drop him.
We don't want to drop him, we're slightly scared. But also, I think it is actually feasible to imagine that 4-year cycle in which he bows out.
I am going, it's less than 50-50 that he's there.
It probably is, especially with the knee, isn't it? I mean, we would have to think about a slightly different balance if he wasn't there. If he was injured, then the captain would probably be Ollie Pope.
Yeah. I want on record that only 4 out of those 7 batsmen will be playing. But I cannot tell
you which ones they are.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably true too. And we've got Duckett and Crawley up top. So that's the problem for Tom Haynes, I'm afraid. Rob Yates as well, a very fine player. But
have we conducted a cowardly selection meeting?
Let me just finish. Tom Abel, I'm afraid, destined to be the James Hildreth de nos jours. Sam Cook we've got in here. Kieran Carlson, I think, talented player. I don't think he gets in there. Jamie Smith we've already got. So I like some of those suggestions down there. Well, I like all the suggestions, and I particularly like Finley Bean. It's a terrific name.
I've just had our second division correspondent on the phone.
Oh, yeah?
He's brave enough to say that Ben Stokes is no way making 2027.
We haven't.
He's brave because he's not here to he's just doing on text message.
Certainly much braver than us.
Let me give you a few that have come through on my Twitter account. Jack Morley at Lancashire, worth a shout. 22 years old, 23 wickets in 7 first-class games. I had some more here. There was some absolutely. Tom Price of Gloucestershire. Sounded like a nice idea. I quite like that.
Who?
Tom Price. Dan Moriarty of Surrey. Surrey aren't picking him, so it's hard to see how he's going to get a game, really. But if Ben Stokes isn't making it, and if he doesn't, it does give us a little bit more of an option, because we have Ollie Pope in there, and then suddenly we got the option for a couple of a couple of different options in the middle order. And then here's a name I do love, because I saw him playing here at the Oval. I thought he was very good. Tawanda Moyeye. He's a 19, 20-year-old, originally from Zimbabwe, did his schooling in England. He is a beautiful batter to watch.
Yeah, and actually just moved up the top of the order. He's been a middle order player, and due to Kent's a few injuries and whatnot, he's gone to the top of the order.
I actually really want him in.
You've got to drop Duckett or Crawley.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be brave here and say Ben Stokes isn't making it.
Okay,
but just for the fact, I don't
Let's do it.
think his body
that's
can.
Painful.
It is painful. It's not what we want at all, because we'd love to see him there, but I don't think he's making it. So I think we've got one wild card. We need one wild card bowler and one wild card batter, because we've got a wild card keeper in James.
I want to end as our wild card.
If you're having to under Moyeye, is he okay?
This is when
squad.
it causes chaos.
I'm having him because I've forgotten about it, and he's But
then we're saying Dan Lawrence. We haven't even spoken about Dan Lawrence.
We haven't. It's not fair.
But if he's not getting in now, is he getting in 4 years? Well, he might do, because we play for Surrey then.
Well, exactly. It's a bit like when you get when you play for New South Wales.
Exactly.
You get your Valley Green at the same time.
Oh, meow. Jim didn't even notice you saying that.
We haven't got any bowlers.
It's fine. We just get loads of runs.
Go to the bowlers. What I would say about Moyeye is that, when you do these, when you go around and you watch these things, and then you think, oh, he looks like a well-organised batter, and then you check his numbers, and they look okay.
He's certainly got
Moyeye makes you just
something.
go, oh.
Yeah.
It's certainly he has got the one thing. He plays a couple of shots which has made me go.
Yeah.
So he's got something. So that he does fit into that category, which I said the other day.
I'm having him in because it makes us look brilliant when he's there. Apparently the selection room is closing at 3:30. He's needed for a Zumba class, most up on settings. So we've only got 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So I think we've got our batters sorted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 batters. We've got
Dan
Rayan
Lawrence
Ahmed, and Jack Carson.
I'm going to have to apologise to Dan. But say those extent, I was outvoted.
Sam Kirk, Ollie Robinson, Jofra Archer, and now we need 2 fast bowlers.
Well, Potts, Tongue.
No Gus Atkinson?
Potts, Tongue. So I think we've got to find 2.
Because our 3 currently includes Jofra Archer.
So I don't think Joffre's there.
And if we lose Jofra, we can have Potts, Atkinson and Tongue.
Yeah, we've got to be realistic, okay. So, have we got enough pace there? Atkinson gives us some pace. Potts, Tongue gives us some pace.
But he's not everything.
Is it enough pace for England?
Swing? Have we got any swing?
Well, let's put. Can we just write them down?
Oh, that's Sam Curran.
Let's write them down, because we can always cross them out. And
Let's see. Yeah, we like crossing things out.
And Jofra might end up back in.
Gus Atkinson, Matt Potts, Gus Atkinson, Josh Tongue. At the moment, that leaves no place for a rejuvenated Saqib Mahmood.
Do we need to be brave and pick another bolter for a bowler? Or do we think Gus Atkinson's another bolter?
I think he's, as a guy
he's quite bolty
and not a great deal of experience at the top level yet.
Yeah.
He's very.
Will Jacks is missing out here. But
Ollie Robinson's leading the attack.
Right.
Josh Tongue's just a banker, is he? Has he gone from? Has he gone, Josh Tongue, from the beginning of this summer to a surprise selection
to a banker?
To an absolute banker playing 2 Test matches?
Well, I would say, out of all of the current England seamers, is Josh Tongue the most likely to be playing the first Test in India?
It's a good question.
Because of how he bowls and what he does with the ball and what might be required in those conditions.
He did pretty well on the Lions tour, didn't he, in the subcontinent?
He could be the most, or certainly one of 2.
Yes, he could. Wood might, I suppose.
Or if England can get Wood to India, because there's a lot of cricket for Mark Wood between now and then when you think there's a World Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe Tongue and Wood a pace for one of them in the 11 in the India series. I think Josh Tongue could be a very, very good shout to be lining up in that first Test in Hyderabad.
Now let me run you through, because I think we've actually got a 16 here.
But don't they normally do is they just put a few more in there just to cover their backs.
We need some travelling reserve.
Well, we can have a spare batter, because sometimes you do go away with 17, so Dan Lawrence can get in that way.
Yeah.
And he gives us a spinning option.
He does. But we've got quite a few spinning options.
But we have, preposterously, we've got at the moment
You've only got
Amongst our batters, we've got Ben Duckett, Zach Crawley and Tawanda Muyeye as our openers. We've got 3 openers there, quite right too. Ollie Pope, Joe Root, Harry Brook and Jamie Smith. That feels like a strong
I like that.
7 batters.
We've done well.
We've got some bankers. We've got a wild card. We've got to have a what? We've got to.
Got a wild card.
Because Finney texted me, said we've been so pathetic. We haven't been brave enough. I think we've just suddenly changed the last
Hang
5
on,
minutes.
how dare he? We've got Rayan Ahmed, Jack Carson and James Rue.
Yeah.
There's plenty of youth there. We've recalled Sam Curran. Do we need to revisit that?
But I think we need we need some leadership, and
he'll give that.
I think I like the selection of him.
I think he could be England's white ball captain after Josh Butler.
Ooh. So therefore, not play red ball.
Not therefore, but.
I like him in the squad. I think he's.
So those are our 7 batters. Our all-rounder is Curran. Our keeper is Rue, but we've got plenty of options if he breaks down in the form of Smith, Pope, and Duckett, for that matter. So we don't need a second keeper.
Smith's keeper.
More than adequate.
Okay.
It's not great, but it's more than adequate. It's better than Pope's. Okay, and he's actually been picked as a specialist keeper when in New Zealand, wasn't he? Our spinners are Rayan Ahmed and Jack Carson. So we're saying that Jack Leach isn't there, partly because Ben Stokes isn't there, and partly because he's 36, and partly because Jack Carson has come bounding to the fore, and Rayan Ahmed also. We've got 47 seconds to wrap this up. Our fast bowlers are Sam Cook, Ollie Robinson, Matt Potts, Gus Atkinson, Josh Tongue. I don't really see a swing bowler, but what do we reckon, team?
We need a captain.
Ollie Pope?
Not Harry Brook?
No. Ollie Pope. I've chosen the captain. It's Ollie. He's the infallible Pope. There's our wicket keeper. Ladies and gentlemen, I now need to sign it, don't I, here at the bottom? There we go.
I refuse to put my name to it.
And that is our 16. It's taken us 1 hour and 25 minutes to get there.
I apologise if you have to listen to it. It's been good fun.
Apparently they'll play it in 4 years' time. Help. There you go. It's 3:30. Zumba class is making its way in. And
we're not picking the Australian team for 4 years as well.
Oh, give it a whirl. Thank you very much, Andy Zaltzman, Stefan Schemmel and Alistair Cook. We got there in the end.